Good. Live. Okay. Nice. Into November. Okay, I'm live. But let me see. It's okay, right? I tried to stream before, and okay, it's stable. It wasn't stable. Like I'll show you again. It wasn't stable. Here, where was it? This one. E. Why can't you see it? Oh, it's weird. See, it's unstable. Like it's red. There, stable. So yeah, I was supposed to stream like an hour ago, but yeah, I fixed some stuff. Yeah, it's working again. Mm, actually, it did not take me an hour to fix it. It's more like I fixed it in a couple seconds and then I procrastinated. So yeah, it's October 18. October 16 was the day of yeah, it was the day of the talk, October 16. I still don't have the copy of the talk, but once it's up, I'm gonna upload it into my YouTube. So if you guys are curious, you can check out my YouTube. Uh, if you guys are curious about the talk, I mean, I had fun. Uh, how do I say it? My experience. I think it's because I really tried to kind of learn more about public speaking, right? Because I had the talk and then I had like a couple days to prepare, and I've never had a talk before. I mean, and I'm so bad at public speaking, right? So like I really tried my best to kind of like learn about it, like take in resources. A lot of it is free. It's on YouTube. Mm, and yeah, like first it was like the slides, right? I made the slides, and then I did good. I thought I did good, like the first draft, and then I saw a YouTube video about like how to not make slides boring, how to actually, how to yeah, how to not make like boring slide presentation. I think it's this video. Like if you guys are curious, it's this YouTube. Let's go to YouTube first. Wait, YouTube. I think it's like this video. That's by PPT. This video, this TEDx talk. Yeah, this one. Just search this. This was such a good vid. After I watched this vid, right, I modified my PowerPoint presentation to satisfy whatever was in this talk. And yeah, and yeah, I was able to cut down a lot of stuff. I was able to like kind of compress it more and like not remove too much, but more like add more substance, but like making it more engaging, making it more easy for the audience to consume, right? And then after this, like, oh, okay, so I've already made my PowerPoint, like I have my slides, right? I have my slides prepared. Now the problem was how do I present this? How do I present the slides? So I think what helped me a lot is this video. It's this video by what was his name? Eric, I think Needstone. Eric Needstone? No, I forgot the name. I forgot his name. What was his name? What was his name? Wait, let me search. I'm sorry, okay. I just learned about him, so and I'm not particularly good at names. Like I remember I met someone right for the first time. I met someone for the first time, and I was talking to that. Like we introduced ourselves. She told me her name, and I told her my name. And then 15 minutes in the conversation, I was like, "Who was I talking to again?" We were like having like deep conversation already. Like it was not a shallow conversation. I think it was like about freelancing and how she does her job and stuff. Like she was talking about it, and I was like, I forgot her name. Yeah, that's me. That's me. I'm like terrible at remembering people's name. Uh, but I really try. I really try to remember people that I've met. Okay. Eric. Eric, I found the name. Eric, and there, admin this. This is, if you guys are curious, how I prepped for it. So the slides was this vid, right? The Death by PPT. This guy, David J. Phillips. He's such a good speaker. Yeah, I learned a lot from this talk. And then how I presented it, I think it's, what was the video? Where was it? Where was it? Mm, it was like kind of long ago. It's not recent. The video was not recent. Where was it? Was it? There. This one, but part one of this. Part one of this. I think it's this one. Yeah, this one. Like how to become a master in the art of public speaking. Part one of this. I actually also part two. Part two was also good, but like I watched part two after I did my talk. So yeah. So but part one really helped. Uh, I think it was more about like handling your nerves, right? So if you remember my previous stream, I was doing some weird exercises, right? I was trying to calm myself down, even though I was not on the talk yet. I was trying to practice calming myself down. Because like if you're not nervous, it's easier. It gets easier to speak publicly. Yeah. And then also like excitement and nervousness is like the same emotion. Like it's the same exact emotion. So like if if you feel like nervous, but like you kind of like see that as like you're excited, like you try to reframe it as like you're excited, right? You're excited to be in this talk and you're excited to share information. Like it gets easier. Like it gets so much easier. And then your goal should be like to converse with the audience, like conversation. So like the way conversation works is that you're not monotone. So like you raise your voice, you lower your voice, you kind of make it dynamic, right? And yeah, it's like not the same pitch. It's like it's like this, like yeah, it's like all over the place, but like that's how conversations work. And also like part of it that really helped me was like not over preparing. It's more like not scripting the thing, not scripting the talk. So like the way I did it was like I had the slides, right, but I never put the notes, because I if you look at my slides here, I'll show you guys what I mean. If you look at my slides here, and then I'll go to like the presenter view, and then I'll quickly yeah, see, there's no notes, there's no speaker notes, there's no speaker notes. So and then if you notice on the slides, there's barely anything here. Like there's I tried my best to like limit the words that I use, limit the objects that is in the slides, and then I don't have anything on the speaker notes. So it's more like it's it's more like a conversation, right? It's more like a conversation where you have an idea what you're gonna talk about. I mean, a lot of times you don't, but like it's like you're flowing. You're just flowing. You're just hmm hmm. I, like you allow yourself to kind of forget things, is what I'm trying to say. You allow yourself to forget things, and that's like part of the charm of public speaking. You allow yourself to like public speaking, like in a conversational level, you allow yourself to forget things, because that's what happens normally in conversation. Like sometimes like even the things that you remember from the past, right? Even the things that like really stood out to you from the past, sometimes you forget it in the moment. That happens, and then that's natural. And then yeah, you can do that. You can do that in like public speaking, because it makes it genuine. Like it makes it genuine. It's like you're having like an actual conversation with someone. And yeah, another one was like emotion, like showing emotion, develop like storytelling, and then storytelling with emotion. That part is like I'm not sure if I was able to do that. Like I have to see. I don't have the recording yet. I don't have like the full copy of the recording yet. But when I do get the copy, that's like the first thing that I'll do is I'm gonna check the I'm gonna check the recording. I'm gonna check the recording, right, and I'm gonna try to see if I was able to do it. And if not, then it's something that I have to kind of work more on. Uh, I'm looking at my Twitch and I'm not centered. Anyways, it's something that I guess I need to kind of work more on, like how to tell stories and then tell stories with emotion. Because one thing that in this talk, I mean, in this talk that the I'm recommending this one, how to master the art and public speaking. I think he talks about it in part two. Yeah, that's why I was not able to really do it because I did not know. I was not aware of it until I saw part two. Part which I saw after I did my talk. So yeah, like the thing about telling stories and then with emotion, like telling stories with emotion, it's more memorable. It's memorable, and it's something. And then another one was like humor, like adding humor at the start of the talk to grab people's attention, to kind of ground the audience that hey, I'm here, and I'm here. I'm not a threat. Like it's like you're conveying to them that you're not a threat, and yeah, and just I'm just here to enjoy the talk, and I want you guys to enjoy it. It's like conveying that, but you do that by adding humor to the start, like not a stand-up comedy type of humor, but more like a storytelling kind of way. You tell a story, and then there's a hook, and then the hook is like humorous or something. Yeah, and yeah, he's really effective. Like Eric, like he shows he shows it in his talk. Like I've seen like maybe like three of his talks from now, maybe three or four. Yeah, I mean, I think four. I've seen like four talks of him, and he tells the same stories. Like he tells the same stories because the topic is the same. Like, the topic is the same. He tells the same stories, but like it hits. Like it doesn't get boring. Like even though you've heard the story before, it's still oh. And that's the thing that I want. That's the thing that I want. That's the skill that I want to develop. Right now, I don't have that, but I mean, that's okay. That's okay. I just started. I mean, that was my first talk, and I barely prepared for it. I'm glad that kind of I did not over prepare. I'm glad that it was like I think that I did my talk like more than maybe 50 minutes, more than 50 minutes. I think I'm not sure. I did not time it, but I'm glad that it was not like 20 minutes. Okay, it was like I was allowed like a bit more time because like one thing that I've noticed right when I was starting out, like I was like kind of when I started the talk, right, during the talk, like October 16, during the actual talk, uh, I was starting out, I was kind of still jittery. Like I was trying to hype myself up. Before the talk, I was like, I watched stuff to hype myself. I was walking around, I was trying to calm myself down. I was doing the techniques that I learned from this guy, like breathing, what else? The eyes thing, the eyes, like trying to focus and then see the peripheral. What else did I do? I walked, and then did like breathing exercises. And other thing is like I watch like things that hype me. So like there's this band called Bandmate. So like I just watch one of their songs from now on. This is like this song, right? This is a instrumental song. If I ever want to get myself hyped, I just watch this because this is like so hype. This song is so hype, man. Yeah, this song. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get like flag for copyright if I play this, but you know what I mean. Like if yeah, yeah, I watched this like I think like a couple of minutes before my talk. It helped. It really did help. Like I was just watching this. I was just watching like their songs because their songs always hype me up. Like I was watching from now on. I was watching Play. I was also watching Play. Yeah, I was watching Play. Like I was watching onset. Yeah, yeah. But I was doing a lot of things just to make me feel good. Like I wanted to, because feeling good like it grounds you. I guess like if you feel like positive emotions, and then you feel like excited again, like nervousness and excitement is the same. It's the same kind of. It's not the same emotion, but like your body kind of reacts the same. Yeah. Uh, yeah. Like I think I've explained this in my previous stream, but like two people, one is nervous and one is excited. You can't really tell if person A was nervous or excited, or person B was nervous or excited because they're kind of their body like reacts the same way. So like if you can kind of think of nervousness as like you're excited, right? It kind of helps. It's like once you're nervous, like you get pessimistic, you get constricted. Yeah, like you're not really in your game. Like you want to get out of the room and stuff. You don't want to talk and stuff. Yeah, your voice starts cracking. Or, yeah, your breathing gets harder because like you're breathing here, which is like a fight or flight response. It's like shallow. It's like your breathing gets shallow, and it's harder to kind of breathe. And then your body, when it's when your body like sees that you're breathing shallow, your body thinks that the situation you're in is dangerous. And I guess that's like the core of it, like why people fear speaking in public is because yeah, they have shallow breathing and then their body interprets that as the situation that I am in now is dangerous. Yeah. And you kind of want to reframe the way you think about it, right? Instead of breathing shallowly, you breathe fully. And then instead of like thinking that you're in danger, you think that I'm excited. Like I'm excited, I'm gonna perform, not perform, but I'm gonna have the best talk. I'm gonna have a good time. Not the best talk, but more like I'm gonna have a good time. I'm gonna make sure the audience has a good time, and it's just gonna be fun. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, yeah. Was it a rant? No. Uh, it's not really a rant. It's more like description. Yeah, I was like just describing what I've experienced, right? So yeah, that's about it. It's like 11:30 now. I'm still not hungry. So I'm gonna stream for a bit. I'm gonna stream for a while more. Okay, yeah. What I'm gonna do today is I'm just gonna watch. I guess I'm gonna continue a course that I've been doing in SQL. Because I've been procrastinating a lot. I know. I've, I've been procrastinating a lot, and I think I started this course quite a while ago, and then I stopped. I stopped at some point, and I'm still like not really how they said I'm not progressing because this is the sequel. This I think I bookmarked that even. But yeah, I'm just gonna watch this lecture one. I'm still in lecture one. I'm just
Short
gonna
break.
I'm gonna watch this and then I'm gonna put myself a timer, like maybe 60 seconds. I'm gonna delete this recording. I don't need this recording. I'm gonna control shift and timer, and then let's do 60 minutes like usual, right? And then I'm gonna open Obsidian. This one, I'm gonna put this here, and then I'm gonna open SQL. Yeah, I think I'm here now. Oh yeah, I made some mermaid diagrams, and I was like, learning this stuff. Okay, and then I'm gonna put this here. I'm gonna put this. Oh no! Oh, that was close. Usually OBS will die. Like if that happens, OBS will die. Yeah. I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna put Obsidian here, there, and then I'm gonna. Oh yeah, I had a timer, right? I had a timer. I'm gonna play the timer. Then I'm gonna go back and then.
And come back to see how we can use these same tools of keys to not just relate tables, but to query them too and find answers.
Wait. Before we start, I'm gonna drink water first, and then I'm gonna apply some ointment to my lips. It's getting dry. Yeah, my lips are getting dry. I think a lot of it is because I have an AC. It sucks humor. I mean, not humor. It sucks humidity. Yeah. I mean, I'm in a very humid country, so it helps that I have AC. Otherwise, like I will have moths over my apartment. I'm glad I have the AC. Like it, yeah. So far, my apartment is like mold free. So, yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna do that real quick. Drink water, apply some ointment. Yeah, late. Oh, okay. Hold on. I'm just waiting. Okay, there. See myself. Okay, am I centered? I'm concerned about it now. If I'm camera on, centered on camera. Oh, I forgot to pause the timer. Play this again. I'm gonna have Obsidian on my right side. I'm gonna have YouTube here.
To our questions across. We're back. Well, we're back, and what we saw before was how to relate our tables using keys. We saw that we could have tables of authors and translators and books related to each other using primary keys and foreign keys. So what we'll do now is figure out how we can query these tables using different techniques that, in this case, might actually use primary keys and foreign keys within those same queries. Now, one technique we could use is one called subquery, also called nested queries too, that basically put one SQL query inside of another. And they're useful in a few different cases. But let's say I have one case of a one-to-many relationship. Maybe I have publishers that are publishing many books. Well, I could use subqueries to help me answer questions about these kinds of relationships in my table. To make it more concrete, let's say I have a table of books, and I want to figure out which of these books were published by Fitzcarraldo Editions, my favorite publisher, let's say. What's the problem here? I want to find the books published by Fitzcarraldo Editions. What am I missing? Raise your hand and answer.
Well, we don't have the name of the publisher in the same table, and we haven't made the relationship with the other table to know the name of publisher.
Yeah, good observation. So I want to find the books that are published by Fitzcarraldo Editions. And as you noted, well, there's no publisher name, there's just the ID. So I need to have some way of knowing what these IDs correspond to. And thankfully, I do have a way of knowing that. I have a table called publishers. This has a column called ID and a column called publisher. And what do I notice? Well, I notice that Fitzcarraldo Editions has the ID of 5. So I could probably solve this problem, but let me ask again, what queries might I need to answer this question? There are two queries I need to do to answer the question of which books were published by Fitzcarraldo Edition.
No.
What two queries are they?
Select. One is select. There's still no join. So just to clarify, like I know SQL, like I use it on the job, but it's more like the reason why I took this course was I know it enough that I can be productive, right? But I actually don't know it. You get what I mean? It's like, yeah, there's like a lot of things that you just learn. A lot of things you just learn on the job, but I don't really know it well enough that I could, let's say, for example, optimize a query, right? Like it's something that I wish I had. Like it's a skill that I wish I had, right? Because I feel like I could do more. Like if I just knew more. Like if you get what I mean, yeah. But that's why I'm trying to take this course. I know it's introduction, but like it's CS50. It's CS50. So like even the introduction part, like it's a lot. I know this because I took the introduction to computer science, and I've learned more in their course than computer science in high school and computer science in college. Yeah, it's like I mean, I did not really go to college. It's more like 1 month of university. Yeah. I took like 1 month and then I dropped out. Yeah. So one is select. I wonder what the other one is. Select. I think it's something like do I have it in my Z? That's I think it's in courses. Let's see. Courses. Let's repose courses. Okay. I'm gonna. Is my mic off? Oh, that would suck. My mic is off. Holy sheesh. Is my mic off? No, my mic is not off. What is this? Oh, I think this is like okay. Okay. I think that's oh, this one was misleading, man. This one was misleading. I thought my mic was off. I think it's for the webcam microphone. Or either the no, I think it's webcam. I think it's webcam microphone. Oh my that was misleading. That was confusing. Okay, and then Z, and I'm gonna go to there's two Z. I don't need this other Z. I need the other Z. There. And then it's CS50 SQL here, and then source one. Source. Okay. Terminal. And then it's like SQLite T. And then what else? Oh yeah, publishers, right? Publishers. I have the publishers here. Why is it CSV? Why is it C lines? Okay, long list. It's like something like select. Oh no, that's schema. Oh wait. Open file name. So dot open long list cd. Okay, never mind. cd cs50 source one. Source one. Okay, and then that's SQLite long list. I think it's SQLite 3 long list. And select. No, it's like that schema. Let's see if I'm here. Translator, training. Okay, publishers. And let's see if I have a. It's called though. Select star from publishers where ID equals 5. Okay, I have it. And then I need what's the other table again?
Let's
see. Books. Select books. Select star from books. Let's see. Okay. Okay. How do I how do I say it? I forgot how to kind of display it. Display it in like a table format or something. I have it here. I have it here. I wonder tables? No. I want to see the how do I say it? I want to see the headers of the table. But like it's weird that I don't have it in my notes. Anyways, I'm gonna. Oh, why did I reset the timer? I'm gonna pause the timer for now because I'm not, Got tables. Wait, no, SQLite, the show table headers. No, column headers. Oh no. Okay, header on. Is there like a way that I don't need to do that? SQLite RC. Okay. I think I have it in source 0. No, I don't have it. maybe I could see, that's SQL. Ah, it's a global config. I don't really want to do that. So headers on the no. Oh, okay, how do you reset that? Maybe Control L, and then Control C, Control D, SQLite, industry TP, and then select from books. Okay, it's the same. I just need the headers to be on. Actually, I can just do this. Then limit 5. Okay, I can see it. Okay, publisher ID is this. Okay. Start it again. And since there's no join yet, right? There's no join. Kind of shock because there's no join. Usually, I would write this with join. It's probably select. It's two selects, right? Select. I want to get all the books from this publisher. Select all the books. Select star from books, or maybe like select title. Oh no. Title from books. Select title from books. Select title from books where. Yeah, it's like where publisher ID. And then you do this, publisher ID equals. You do a subquery, what he's trying to say. Select ID. Select ID from publisher. Publishers. I know I'm not. Can I indent? I'm not sure if I can indent. Select. Select. I'm gonna do it again. Select it. Where publisher ID equals, and then cannot indent, so I'll just do two indentations, 2 spaces, 1, 2, where select ID from publishers, and then select ID from publishers, where ID where ID equals no name where name equals Fitzcarraldo editions or something. Or no, I think it should work. It doesn't work. Why does it not work? Select ID from publishers where name. We're publisher, not name. Okay. Never mind. Select title from books where publisher ID equals, and then select ID where publisher equals. And okay, these are like all the books that he kind of owns or he wrote. No, publisher, he published. Yeah. Two selects.
So I could probably solve this problem, but let me ask again, what queries might I need to answer this question? There are two queries I need to do to answer the question of which books were published by Fitzcarraldo Edition. What two queries are they?
I think it's select and where. Did you mean keywords or queries?
Yeah, so keywords would be great. So I need to have some kind of select involved. I need to probably select something from publishers and something from books. So could I ask you, what would I select from publishers and what would I select from books then? Let's take either another hand or following up here.
Okay, so we would take the publisher. So select publisher ID from where publisher equals the publisher name we're looking for. And then we would nest this query inside the other one. So we can find the name of the book published by this publisher, since we found the ID.
Yeah, some good ideas here. And let me propose to do it a bit visually here first. So I want to figure out first, what is the ID of Fitzcarraldo Editions? Well, I could write a query to find that. And I'll say, get back 5 for Fitzcarraldo Editions. Well, that's one step. But my next step is then to say, what books fit that publisher ID? So I'll write another query, this one to determine which titles have a publisher ID of 5, and I'll get back, let's say, Minor Detail and Paradeus. So let's make this more concrete as you were doing yourself, Jean-Paul. Let's write these queries out. Let's say I have this first one to determine what is the ID of Fitzcarraldo Editions. I could say select ID from publisher, where the publisher is Fitzcarraldo Editions. And I'll get back from this query the number 5. Well, I could use that number in my next query, as we saw visually here. I could then say select title from books, where the publisher ID is 5. I'm getting back any titles. But here's another question. Why is this not very well designed? At least in the query I have here, what could I improve about? What smells wrong?
They are not connected.
Yeah, so Jean-Paul, as you said too, they're not connected. And here I have this ID of 5, but I mean, I don't want to remember this number. I mean, I don't want to have to keep it in my mind and like use it later on in my queries. I ideally could use some other query to find this number for me more dynamically. And so SQL supports this idea of writing a sub-query, a query within a query. For example, I'll take this and I'll convert it to the query we had before. I'll select title from books, where the publisher ID is equal to, well, the result of this query here. And notice how I have parentheses. This means the query furthest inside the parentheses will be run first. So first, this query is run, I get back 5, then I could finish out my query and say, select title from books, where publisher ID is equal to 5. So let me pause here before we do some practice in our SQLite terminal. What questions do we have on these kinds of sub?
Select star. One. Want to be consistent. Want a perfect soul. Want you to know that you're not alone. Send it out. for column. It's representative. It's still consistent.
So far.
I was wondering what would happen with those records that don't match in the subquery.
Yeah, good question. So if the ID doesn't match, is that what you're asking? Yeah, I'm hearing yes. So if the ID doesn't match, that's a good question. So we can treat it as we would a regular old SQL query that we learned about in last week. So we said select title from books where publisher ID is equal to, let's say, some value. And we'll then filter out all of those that don't have that particular value. So if we have a publisher ID of 6 or of 3, those won't be included anymore because we said where publisher ID is equal to 5. And now looking at this query too, well, let's say I might write select ID from publishers, where publisher is or equal to Fitzcarraldo Editions. Maybe that publisher doesn't exist. No publisher with that name. In that case, this query would return nothing, and therefore the next query would also return nothing. So we have queries dependent on the results of the other queries here. So let's actually try this using our SQLite terminal to get a better feel for what we can do with this kind of structure for our queries. I'll go back to my computer and I'll hop into my SQLite environment. Let's say here, I want to do a similar query, but I want to find those books that were published by MacLehose Editions, MacLehose Press, rather. So let me try to attempt this one by one, going one step of the way, and then finally combining my queries into one I could use more dynamically. So to our point earlier, we have to first find the ID of MacLehose Press. We try to find that. I'll say select, let's say ID, from publisher, where publisher is equal to none other than MacLehose Press. This, end my quotes, semicolon, hit enter, and hopefully, I will see an error. And based on this error, let me ask our group here, what did I say?
What's the query again? ID from publisher, where publisher equals. I think it's the it's publishers, not publisher.
I will see an error. And based on this error, let me ask our group here, what did I
Judging by the error, I think you just sort of mistyped the table name.
Yeah, so I probably mistyped the table name, and we could probably parse this if I look at the error itself. So it says parse error, no such table publisher. And that's true. There is no table called publisher. So let me fix this and run it again. I'll say select, let's say ID from the publishers, plural, and we'll say where the publisher is equal to MacLehose Press, like this. And I'll hit a semicolon here. And now, fingers crossed, this should work. I do see an ID of 12. Okay, so MacLehose Press, the ID is 12. Now I want to find the books that were published by this ID. Let me go to my book table. I will say select title from books. In this case, where the publisher ID is equal to, well, before, semicolon. Now I'll hit enter, and I'll see these are the books that MacLehose Press has.
Let me quickly be back. I know. I think I drank I drank a lot of water. I drank a lot of water. Yeah. my hands. Okay. Just waiting for Twitch to see me back again. Okay, I'm here now. I'm back. I'm gonna put this here. This here. I'm gonna continue the timer. I'm gonna put this here. I'm gonna put this here.
But again, as we saw before, I could improve this. I could make this better, more dynamic by nesting my queries, having a subquery, query inside of a query. So let's redo this. I'll start at the end, essentially. I'll say select title from my books table, where the publisher ID is, or is equal to, what? Well, let's say I don't know it's 12. I have to write another query here. So to do that, I could open up some parentheses. Is equal to a parentheses, and then I'll hit enter to continue my query. I'll indent 4 spaces, space, 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 just a style convention to keep things clean for me, to show this query is inside of this other query. What I'll then do is finish out this query. I want to select the ID from the publisher's table, where, let me just indent again, where the publisher equal to, not Fitzgerald Editions, is equal to Mac Leho's Press, end quote. And now let me close my parentheses. I have an open one here that I should close to show this subquery is done. I'll hit enter, close my parentheses, and now my entire query is done. I can hit semicolon, hit enter again, and now I'll see the very same results, but more dynamic. No longer do I have to hard code the ID. I can make it more dynamic, and I can actually find it using my very own query here. Let's try a different context too. Maybe I want to find all of the ratings for this book called In Memory of Memory. Well, maybe I'll try it step by step, and what I'll first do is try to find the ID for In Memory of Memory. I'll say select ID from, let's go from the books table, and let's say where the title is In Memory of end quote, semicolon, hit enter, and we'll see 33. So this book has the ID 33. Okay, let's now look in our ratings table for this ID. I'll say select. Let's go for select rating from my ratings table, where the book ID is equal to 33. So now I'll hit enter, and now I should see all of the ratings for this book, and there are quite a few that people have left on this book on Goodreads website. So let me again try to improve this and make it just a little bit better. I'll be more dynamic about it and try to nest these queries. I'll say select rating from ratings. We'll start at the beginning. We ultimately want ratings. Well, I want those ratings where the book ID is equal to some number. I don't know what number yet. So I have to write my own nested query. I'll create a parentheses like this, enter. I'll indent 4 spaces, space, 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 and then I'll say, I want to find the ID from the books table, where this title is equal to in memory of, and that is my subquery. So I'll close this out, I'll enter, close my parentheses, now I have a semicolon, and hit enter, and I see very same. Well, I could probably not get back the individual ratings. I want to kind of average them over time. So let's try that too. I'll say the same thing, select rating from ratings, but now no longer do I want to select all the ratings, I want to average them. So I'll say select the average rating from ratings. And now let me go back over to my nested query, and I will hit enter again, and I will hit the up arrow to get back access to my earlier parts of my my SQLite environment. I'll hit enter here, close it out, semicolon, and now I should see average rating for this. Okay. So this is very handy for us. We're able to kind of replicate those queries we would have done with a single table, but now using subquery. And so far, we've seen this working for a relationship that is one to many. We could also use subqueries with many-to-many relationships, these tables that have many items over here and
Is it
many
join
items
now?
over there that relate in some way. Let's try it, let's say, with authors and books. And I want to figure out, let's say,
Okay, there's no,
which author
okay, still
wrote
not yet joined.
Flights? Which author wrote Flights? So
Which author wrote Flights? Okay, let me try. Wait, which author wrote Flights? So, which author wrote Flights? So select name from authors where select name from authors where ID equals and subquery ID equals author, select author ID from authored, select author ID from authored. Why can't I close this? That is weird. Sometimes my key combinations doesn't work. Let me look at my key bindings. See, I have it here. So I should. What? I have alt Q set up, but it's other. Sometimes it doesn't work. I think you need to have something open. You need to have something open for it to work. Okay, you need to have something open for it to work. Okay, so select author ID, but I don't wanna. See. Select author ID from authored, where book ID, book ID equals, and then another nested query. 1, 2, select ID from books, where name, where title equals that's okay, right? Select name from authors where ID equals select author ID from authored where book ID equals ID from books where title equals Flights. I think it's good. And this, and then this, and then semicolon. Author ID 5878. Okay, I got it.
let me ask, what should I figure out on the way to get to the author who wrote Flights? Could you walk me through what I might need to know here?
You need to know ID of author and that book. And based on that relation, you have to join all three tables together.
Yeah, I have to know IDs, and I have to kind of walk across these three tables, as you're saying. So let's go back to our tables, and I want to know who wrote. Well, a good place to start, to your point, is to say, let's start at Flights and find the ID. Well, the ID of this seems to be 78. Okay, let me then look in our authored table, and let me try to find the author ID that corresponds with 78. Well, I find 78 here. What's next to it? Well, 58. Okay, so the author ID who wrote Flights is 58. Well, who is 58? I'll look in the authors table and I'll see this is none other than Olga. Okay, so let's walk through trying to make this query happen, but now using SQL keywords. I'll start first with trying to find the ID of Flights. So I'll select the ID from the books table where the title is equal to Flights. Okay,
I'm
that's
excited
fair enough.
for this.
Now, I
Optimizing
could
and scaling.
nest this query. put it inside another
really
query
excited.
to
I don't know
find
how long it
the
will take me
author
to
ID
pick this course
of the person who
because I'm
wrote
very.
flights. I'll do a bit like this.
I tend to
I'll
procrastinate.
select author ID from author, where the book ID is equal to my prior query. Select ID from flights, where title is equal to, well, from books, where title is equal to flights. And now I could go one step further. I could say, I want to find the name of the person who has this author ID. Let me nest again. Let me put this query, select name from authors, where ID equals, and put all the rest of it inside of nested query here. So to be clear, I'll start from the middle, find the ID of flights. Then I'll find the author ID for that book ID, and then I'll find the name of the author who wrote that. Okay, so a good number of steps here, but let's try it out ourselves in our SQLite terminal. I'll come back to my computer. And here, maybe I want to find all of those books, or well, not all those books. I want to find the author of a particular book you might be familiar with called The Birthday Party from our librarian conversation a little earlier. Let me say, I want to first find the ID of the birthday party. I'll say select ID from books where title is equal to the birthday party. Semicolon, enter. Now,
we never
the ID
used the CSV,
is
which is
8.
weird.
Okay, let me keep that in mind. And actually, I don't quite need to know this. Let me try to nest this query inside some other query to keep going towards my goal of finding the author of the birthday. So the next thing to figure out, as we saw before, is finding the author ID. I'll say select, let's say the author ID from authored table, that table of authors who have written books, and I'll say where the book ID is none other than the one I got back from this prior query. Indent and say select ID from books where title equal to the birthday party, quote, not semicolon yet, end my parentheses, semicolon, hit enter. Now I see 44. We're getting there, but now I have to figure out who has the ID of 44 in my authors table. Let's keep going. Let's clear our terminal using Control L, and I will then say select name from the authors table. We're going to start at the beginning, or going to start at the beginning, the place we want to actually get to. Then I'll say where the ID of that author is equal to the result of this query. What is the author ID associated with the book I want to find? So I'll select author ID from authored, and I'll say where the book ID is equal to another subquery. Here I'll indent 4 times and 4 again. Now I'm nesting twice, right? So I'll then say select ID from books, and I'll hit enter just to kind of keep me on some good style here. I'll indent 8 times total, and then I'll say where, let me just make sure I'm doing the right thing, where the title is the birthday. Okay, that was a lot. Now we'll close out our queries. I'll hit enter, space, space, space again, semicolon, or parentheses, enter again, parentheses, semicolon, and hopefully after all this typing, we'll get back what we want. We see our friend. So this is an example of trying to find the author who wrote a particular book, although it's a bit long-winded using these kinds. So let me pose questions then. We've seen how to use these subqueries for one-to-many relationships and also many-to-many. What questions do you have about how to use queries?
I remember you talking about books of the same name and that they can have different versions and etc. How would you get the ID for the different versions?
What do you mean
If their
different
titles the
versions?
same, as I'm guessing you would. I'm guessing you would set before you wouldn't set the foreign key to title, so it would be the primary, or is it done differently?
A good question here. So you could imagine a database that has more than one edition of a book inside of it. Maybe I have 2 editions of the birthday party, or the hardcover and the paperback and all these other editions, right? Well, in that case, what I might do is try to, this is a good segue, I might have multiple IDs that I'm searching for. Let's say I don't care if it's the hardcover or paperback version. Well, I could look for the ID of like 55, 56 and try to find the author of both of them. So let's actually keep going here. Let me show you a new keyword to use for those kinds of questions, if you don't mind. Let me come back to my computer, and let's introduce this new keyword that can help us find the author of not just one book, but perhaps multiple books, or different versions of the same book. Let me introduce this one. This one is called in. Very simple.
Yeah, in.
I-N. And I can use in to say, well, maybe some key or some column is in some set of values. Not just equal to 1, but in some set of values. So let's see an example here. We're back at our authors, books, and authored tables. And maybe I want to find the books written by these two authors, Gauze and but in some is in, can use in to say, well, maybe some key or some column is in some set of values. Not just equal to 1, but in some set of values. So let's see an example here. We're back at our authors, books, and authored tables. And maybe I want to find the books written by these two authors, Gauze and Old. Well, I could select their IDs. I could say, get back 27 and 58. Now I have two IDs. So I could look in author and I could say, give me back all of the book IDs that have an author ID of 27 and 58. Okay, I'll look here and I'll get back both 4 and 78. So notice how earlier I was asking, show me the book IDs where author ID is equal to some single value. Here I'm asking, find me the book ID where book ID has, where the author ID is in some set value, more than 1 now. And similarly, let me look at my books table. Let me say, okay, I want to find the titles for these books. Well, I'll find the titles that have book IDs in this set of IDs, 4 and 78. So let's see this in action in our SQL terminal. I'll come back over here and I'll write this query to find all of the books by a particular author named Fernanda Melchor. I'll go back to my terminal, and Fernanda is more prolific than most. She's written actually 2 books that are on the long list for the Booker Prize. So I'll say select ID from authors where the name is equal to Fernanda. Fernanda, semicolon. And this now is Fernanda's ID, 24. Okay, let me find the IDs of books that Fernanda has written. I will now say select book ID, select book ID, if I can type, select book ID from the authored table where the author ID is equal to the result of this query, 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces here. And I'll say select ID from authors where the name is equal to Fernanda Melchor, parentheses, semicolon, and I'll hit enter. Go back, not 1 book ID, but 2. So if I want to find these titles, I should say, find me the titles where the book ID is not equal to, but is in this set of IDs. So let's try that. Let me say select title from books where the ID is in some set of values, is in those 2 IDs we saw earlier. So I'll say in, enter, 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces, and then I'll say select the book ID from authored where, actually space this again, where the author ID is equal to the result of this subquery. Use equals here because there's only 1 author ID we care about. I'll hit enter. Then I'll do space, 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 4 spaces for 1 indentation, and now 4 more spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4 to indent again, then my next nested query. I'll then say select, let's say the ID from authors, where the name is equal to Fernanda. And now let me close out my queries. I'll hit enter, space, space, space again. And now I'll use parentheses to close out my middle subquery. I'll do the same. I'll hit enter, and then I'll do another parentheses, and then semicolon here, hit enter, and now I should see, finally, Fernanda's 2. Okay. So this is one example of using in, what questions do you have on how to use this syntax?
Actually, my question was not regarding N, but actually the indentation you used regarding the subqueries, because while you were using the subqueries, you mentioned that you were giving 4 spaces. Is there any necessity of using like such kind of indentation while we are using subqueries?
Yeah, I have a question about style here. Let me try to pull up some slides that have an example of that style so we can talk about it. Let me try to find an example of our nested query. I'll pull this one up. And as you might remember, we had 3 queries here, and I tried to keep track of them by indenting them more and more and more. This isn't required. You could, don't do this, but you could put it all on one line, which would just be crazy long to read. What we do instead is we'll often try to hit enter when it feels nice to have a break in the reading length, and we'll then indent some spaces to show that this query is a subquery of the prior one. The exact amount to indent might vary, but the idea of trying to break up your lines and
Curious,
trying
like,
to indent is
what
going to be
this?
a good one
like
for
the
your
style
own
guide
sake
for
and for
this.
those who
Like,
read
I think it's
your
like
code. Let's take one more too.
I'm following the
When do we need to use in where class when we are doing
Mozilla
subquerying?
style
I
guide.
suppose that we can also use subquerying without in as well.
You're right. So
curious,
we
just
saw
look
an
at
example
this.
using equals, and we also saw an example using in. In general, if you want just a rule of thumb to follow, if you're
For the
looking
most
to
part, I'm
see
using this
if some ID is
Mozilla
part of
style
a
guide.
list of IDs or part of a set of IDs that is more than one, you should use in. In is good for checking if something is inside of more than one item, let's say. Equals, though, is good if you know you have only one ID. Let's say I have an ID equal to 23 or equal to 25. That's a good place for equal. If, though, I had 23 or 25, I might use in to match either or that set. Good question. Let's take one more here, too.
We have seen one-to-many relationships, one-to-one relationships, and many-to-many relationships. So how would many-to-one relationships be tackled? Suppose one book has 3 authors, then how would that be represented in the table?
Yeah, let's look at the example of one book having 3 authors. Look at our authored table. So let me pull up that slide for you and we'll talk about it in just a minute. I'll come back over here and I will pull up our example of having authors and books and the authored table in the middle. To your question of how could I have, let's say, a book written by 3 authors? Well, we could imagine that this table, let's say, we'll talk about Boulder, for instance. So Boulder has the ID of 1. Let's say 3 people wrote Boulder. Well, in this case, we could adjust this. I could say this is no longer 74, this is 1. And same thing here, this is not 4, this is 1. We have the book ID 1 in here more than once. It's in here 1, 2, 3 times. But what we're saying each time is that, well, 23 was an author of 1, 31 was an author of 1 as well, and so was 27. So I would not be afraid to have multiple instances of your foreign key inside of this table. What I wouldn't do is have it more than once in your primary key here. Here it actually has some information, who authored which book. Here it is strictly a unique ID. It should be only a one-to-one relationship. Every key has to be unique for the items in that table. Good question. Okay, so we've seen subqueries, but there is one more technique we could use to solve some of these problems of querying across tables. This one is going to be called a join. So let's dive into joins. And the whole idea behind joins is trying to take a table, combine it with some other table. And actually for this, we have some maybe guests for our class. We have these very cute sea lions, and we'll use a database of sea lions to understand how joins actually work. So if you're not familiar, sea lions are sometimes native to the coast of California, and they like to travel. They like to travel really far. They go from the southern part of California all the way up to Washington State. This is many, many miles of traveling for these adorable sea lions. So there are data sets that involve sea lions and their migration pattern. Here's one, for example. Here we have a table of sea lions. And here we have a table of their migration.
Already joined. Like, what am I gonna use for that? What am I gonna use? Lines at the okay. Lines and migrations. Okay.
A distance column tells us how far they went in miles, and a days column tells us how long it took them to travel, of course, in days. Well, here, if we're researchers, maybe we're keeping track of some number of sea lions. We're keeping track of Aya and Spot and Tiger, Mabel, Rick, and Jolie. But we have data on many sea lions, perhaps some we aren't even tracking anymore. This would be our migrations team. Now, it could come to pass that I want to figure out, well, how far did Spot travel? And how far did Tiger travel? And what I could do is I could use nested queries for this, but perhaps better yet, I could try to join these tables to see the data all in one table. Now, to do that, how could I try to take a row from this side and kind of attach it to or extend the row here? What idea could I use to put the right rows to
Row.
what?
So let's say, for example, Spot and Tiger, right? That was the example. So I want to get the distance traveled by Spot and Tiger. Let's select sea lions. With schema is sea lions and migrations. So I think it's better if I write it down in Sublime first and just copy paste. Thinking which is better, like a new file. So select C, select like from C lines, right? Let's make this SL C lines, and then from migrations okay, select sl.id, sl.id, sl.name, then m like this, so m.distance, m.distance, like this. No, I think it's not like this. I think it's like this. sl.id. Probably it's like this. That distance, and then from C line to SL. I don't really know the difference between left and right join. I forgot. Probably he's gonna teach that. Hopefully he's gonna teach that. I'm gonna use inner join or left join. I think inner join and left join is the same. Inner join migrations. I think it's here. Migrations is M. Inner join migrations is M on, I think it's like on m.id, I think. m.id equals id. Is it like this? clines.id? Not sure. What's the table?
ID.
I can get the schema again. Primary key ID. This is the ID of the migrations. That's hard because how do you relate the two? There's no table that relates the two. Ah, I get it. This ID is the same as this. Like I think this is like, I'm not sure if this is like ID of the migration or ID of the sea lion. Probably this is ID of the migration.
Idea
right?
could I use? And the row
Okay, this is I think this is like ID of the sea lion. This is like confusing. This should be like sea lion ID. This should not be ID. Anyways, yeah, I was like confused. Yeah, I think this is correct. And then semicolon, and then just copy this. This should be correct. And then where? Where? SL that name in button tiger spot. Spot. Anyways, it doesn't work. Okay, I need to type this again then. Select. Select this from I'm gonna copy this. Okay. Direction is M. To where? Where SL dot name in spot. Okay. Distance. 11728. That's 1531. That's correct. Yeah, that's the only one. That's 11728. 11. I don't know what the number is, but I'm guessing it's 1729.
Here,
It's the only one with
what
17.
idea could I use to put the right rows together?
Could you use the private key, the ID, kind of join them together using the private key and the foreign key?
Yeah, a good idea. So you might notice that we actually have two columns here, both called ID, which is handy for us. And notice how we have them kind of sort of matching, and matching in the sense that some of these IDs are actually inside of this column too. So we could use the primary key in really both tables and try to match it together to figure out how these rows could be extended to add. We could join these tables together to make this table ultimately showing us where Aya has traveled and how long it took them to get there. So the keyword for doing these kinds of manipulations with data in SQL is called join. Kind of straightforward, but let's take a peek at what join can do for us inside of this database. So I'll go to my computer here and I'll pull up this database of sea lions I prepared for us today. I will clear my terminal. I'll type Control L and I'll get out of my long list database. To do that, I can type .quit, a SQLite command to leave this environment. I'll hit enter.
Just Control D.
And then what I can do is I can type SQLite3 space C underscore lions.d. That is just the name of this database. Okay, I'll hit enter. Now, to make sure I'm in the right place, I can type .tables, see what tables are inside of this environment. .tables, enter. I see both tables, migrations and sea lions, which is promising for me here. So we could see what data is inside of these tables I could say select star from C underscore lions, semicolon, hit enter. Now I see all of these adorable sea lions inside of this lovely table.
Californians.
What if I wanted to find migrations? Well, I could do that too. I could say select star from migrations, semicolon, enter. Now I see my data on migration. And notice how, again, some sea lions are in the sea lions table, and we have some IDs in our migrations table that actually aren't in our sea lions table. So we're keeping track of only a subset of sea lions, and this table might have some sea lions we keep track of in the past, so not all of them as well. Okay, so let's try joining these tables to determine where have our sea lions been in our sea lions table. I'll say select star from sea lions. But now I don't want to end this query here. I want to expand this table with the data inside of the migrations table. What could I do? I'll hit enter just as a style thing here to now consider how to make the query a bit longer. I'll want to join the migrations table to the sea lions table. And to do that, I can type join. I'll say join.
I wonder what's
then
the default
space.
for join.
I want to say the table I want to join. In this case, the table is called migrations. I'll say migrations, and I have to tell it one more
Inner.
thing. I
Okay.
have to tell it
It's
what
inner.
we saw visually earlier, which is that the ID column in
Well, I
sea
didn't.
lions matches the ID column in migrations. I have to tell SQL which two columns to try to join these tables by. So let me do that. I'll say join migrations on, which is a SQL keyword, what two columns should correspond. I'll now say migrations.id. This means the ID column inside of migrations table is equal to, or is going to be joined with, this sea lions table and the ID column within that. Again, these two columns should have some matching values we could use to make these rows longer with more columns. Let me then hit semicolon here, and hopefully we'll see all of our data now combined. I can tell you how far Tiger went and how many days it took them to do it because I've joined these two tables together.
How do you
So
comment
in
in
doing
SQL
this
again?
kind of join, just regular old
Okay.
join, what we're really doing is part of this family of joins. It's called an inner join. You may have seen this idea of an inner join or an outer join. The usual join, at least in SQLite, is going to be an inner join. What do we mean by inner join? Well, let's visualize it a little more slowly here. See the process of which we might use to understand this join. I'll have again my two tables, but now simplified. I have name and ID, and just distance and ID. And to join these, I could literally kind of nudge them together and draw a line down the middle, a bit like this. But what do you notice? I mean, this one seems to match this ID, and this ID seems to match this ID. But these two, they don't match. I mean, poor Jolie down here, we don't know how far Jolie went. And if we don't know this data, if these IDs don't match, as if we can't find a match for this ID
It's gonna
or
get
for this
removed.
ID, well, let's sadly just get rid
Yeah,
of the row.
okay, so
Like, it's not
outer
part of our
join
join table anymore.
That's
It's
all?
gone from our memory. We now have only these tables
inner
or
join.
these rows that we could actually join together with the row. So, this is our example then of an inner join. Let me ask, what questions do you have on joins so far?
So the confusion for me right now, where were the IDs generated? Was it on the sea lions table or on the table? And what kind of problem can that pose, like maybe in real world? So that's the question I have. Maybe not directly to join
Yeah,
system.
yeah. It's
No, that's
confusing.
a great
'cause the-
question and good to clarify.
Yeah.
So we have sea lions with some ID, and we see here that one ID is 10484, another ID is 11728, and to your good question, which is how do we get these IDs? Well, these actually came to us from researchers, perhaps, who are researching sea lions. If you're not familiar, let me go back to our slide with sea lion migrations on it. Researchers might often want to keep track of where sea lions have been. And to do so, they will non-invasively apply some tag to this animal that has some unique ID on it. And they'll track where that tag goes to understand where this particular sea lion went. So they will make up their very own primary keys, their very own unique IDs to identify these sea lions. We can then use those same IDs in our table to understand where these sea lions are going. And just to be clear too, let me find our full data set here. Here, we have those sea lions that we're now interested in. Those we're now tracking. But you could imagine that we also have some sea lions that we no longer track, and maybe they've gone on. They're doing something else now. They're not part of our data set. So that's why we might see some over here, but not over here. Hope that answer your question about the sources of this data. So let's take one more.
When we join together the two migration and seashell, the ID table is repeating. So I just want days and the travel distance. I don't want to repeat the table of ID. Is that possible?
Yeah, and I think if I'm understanding correctly, we want to try to not just join these tables, but maybe remove the duplicate ID in them. Like if I showed you this joined table right here, ID appears in here twice. There is a way to do this, and we'll see it towards the end of our exploration of join. Come back to that.
Okay, just a later path.
So we've seen inner joins so far, this way of combining tables and only keeping the data that actually matches between.
Okay. Inner join. Yes. Joining, what did you say? Combining tables. Combining tables.
This way of combining tables and only keeping the data that actually matches.
Data that matches.
Is between them. But let's try a new way of joining. This one that might not be so strict. We have a few options here. We have what we're going to call a left join, a right join, and a full. And you could imagine, based on the names here, what each one might do. You could think of our tables, one being on the left, one being on the right, and trying to join them, prioritizing either the left table or the right table, or maybe even both for a full join. So let's get a feel for what kinds of tables we get back from these different commands, and we'll visualize how this is actually happening underneath the hood. Let's go back to our computer here.
This is the thing
Let's
that
try
I don't
to
really
do
get.
a left join using our two data sets. Now, a left join will prioritize, so to speak, the data on my left table. Left being quote unquote because there is no left or right in a database, but left here means the first table that I start with. Let's try this. I'll say select star, select star. Let me just make sure I'm typing the right things here. Let me try select star from the sea lions table. And now I don't want to just do a regular old join. I want to do a left join. I want to, no matter what, always have the data on my left table, this sea lions table here. Left join, and I'll join migrations. I have to say the same thing. Which column in migrations corresponds to which column in sea lions? I'll say left join migrations on migrations.id equals sea lions.id as well. Now, I think that's about it for my join. So I'll say semicolon, enter, and notice the difference here. Let me walk to this board.
It's empty. Why is it empty? I think it gets everything that matches the left table plus the left table. What I mean is like this thing doesn't match anything, but it still has it because it's part of the left table. If it was inner join, this will be removed. Yeah. Like, let's see. It would output 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. Yeah, like Aya, Spot, Tiger, Marble Rig. Interesting. Okay.
See,
Now I'm starting to get it. Because maybe I'm using it wrong.
C lines
I'm using
now
joins
in
wrong a
this
lot.
table. Where we left off Jolie earlier, we've now kept Jolie in, even though Jolie doesn't have a distance or a number of days. We actually haven't tracked that data yet for Jolie, but we still see them in this table. Let's now try a right join to see the difference between this and the right join. I'll come back over here, and let's try prioritizing our right mode table. This one perhaps being the migrations table.
Huh?
So I'll say, so
What the hell is this? Why is it not supported? I'm just gonna remove the timer. I'm gonna just complete the join. Okay, I'm gonna complete the join part of the course. Ah, you do, okay. You just okay. Instead of Rockstar from 2 items, you just do this. Migrations, then right join, left join, C lines. Okay. Fair enough.
select star from C lines. This will again be
I wonder
our
why
left, quote unquote,
right
table,
join
just
is not
because it
supported.
comes first. Now I'll say join, not just join, I'll say right join migrations on, again, migrations.id equals, let's say, clients.id, semicolon. Now let's see the difference here. Well, what have we done?
So unfair. Why does he have? Why does he have a? Why does he have it? Why don't I have it? It's not natively supported by SQLite. Does SQLite 3 support? That's interesting. Can I do like that version? Yeah, it's SQLite 3. Okay. Anyway, I don't know how he was able to do this.
We've actually left off a few C lines now. We only have those whose IDs were in the right table. Again, the right table being that second one we used. And even if we don't have any names for these C lines, we'll still include them in our data set. We can see though that this data is missing and that, as we'll see, it has some special value called null. So we have a left join and a right join. A full join, though, allows us to see the entirety of both tables and which values are missing. Let's try that now. Come back over here. I'll do a full join. I'll say select star from sea lions.
Just select star from sea lions. How do you how do you do a full join? Wonder how do you do a full join? Software auto join. Union all left join. Two left joins. Okay, two left join. Let's start from sea lions. Left join. And all. So let's start from migrations. I don't get why. Left join. Oh wait, this is wrong. This is wrong. Error. Okay. 3 TV. No header. Oh, that header's on. It's on. So start from sea lions. Left join migrations. There should be sea lions and then migrations. Migrations. Even all. Let's start from migrations. Left join sea lions. Okay. 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 Let's see if I got the same table.
Full join migrations on. Full join migrations on. Migrations. Migrations.id is equal to sea lions.id, semicolon, enter. And now what do we see? Well, we see both tables in their entirety. We have Jolie here still, even though Jolie doesn't have a distance or some number of days. We also have our sea lions, our mystery sea lions down below, who don't have any name, but are still included in our migration. So left join, full join. So let's then visualize this to understand what's happening along the way. I'll go back to some slides here. Let's look first at these left joins as well. So really all of these,
It's
left
wrong,
join, right
or
join,
is
and
this
full join, these are all part of
mine?
this
This is
family
wrong.
called an outer join. An outer join lets you keep some data, even if the join right along the way are leave it on full join. I'll say let's use output of situation and distance.
Left join. Left join. Oh, you cannot do Control D. That sucks.
Or number of days, yeah. And the mode table. This one perhaps being the migrations table. So I'll say select star comes join equals special value. Values all set. That allows us to see the entirety of both tables and which values are missing. Let's try that. Come back over here and I'll do a full join. I'll say select star from sea lions, full join migrations on, full join migrations on migrations. migrations.id is equal to clients.id, semicolon, enter. And now what do we see? Well, we see both tables in their entirety. We have Jolie in here still, even though Jolie doesn't have a distance.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's like not union all. Try to see lines. It's not union all. But like just the union. See lines. Not sure if it's the same. It should be a blank line somewhere here. Maybe because yeah. That's weird because how do you say it? The days. Yeah, the days. What the hell? What the hell? Yeah, like full inner join. Full. It's not union all. It's not possible, I think, in SQLite. Shucks. I wonder why it's supported on his end.
Number of days. We also have our C lines, our mystery C lines down below, who don't have any name, but are still included in our migration. So left join, full join. So let's then visualize this to understand what's happening along the way. I'll go back to some slides here. Let's look first at these left joins as well. So really all of these, left join, right join, and full join, these are all part of this family called an outer join. An outer join lets you keep some data, even if the join is not going to quite work out for you as much as you would want it to in an inner join. By that I mean you might have some null, empty values in this join after. So let's visualize it. Here I have a left outer join, and I want to combine this left table with this right table. Do a left outer join. I'll put them together, and notice how these two don't match. Well, because they don't match, I'll fill in these values with the value that signifies empty or null. In this case, it is literally null. There's nothing here. So because I did a left join, what I should do is prioritize this left table's data. Even if this doesn't have any match here, I'll still keep this row. But notice down below that this ID has no match in the left table. I'll omit that. In the end, I'll delete this bottom row, but be left with Jolie, who might or may not have data in the right table. Let's try the right join, right outer join. I'll do the same thing, combine them, and they'll do the same exact kind of orientation. I have some null values here, but I don't quite know how to match up. What I can do instead is say, well, I want to prioritize data on this rightmost table. Even though this ID has no match, I want to keep it because it's inside this right table. Okay, let me delete this row because it has no match in my right table. And I'll be back to this type of join, keeping every ID in the right table. A full join, a bit more simple. I'll take the same data, join it together, and I'll simply say, I don't care if there are null values involved, leave them be. Okay, this is a lot of visualizing. Let me ask, what questions do we have on join?
Could I somehow work with multiple tables? Is there, if I have like 3 tables, which one is the left one, which one is the right one, and what's the third one?
Yeah, good question. So we've seen 2 tables so far, and this was deliberate kind of pedagogically. It'd be a lot to see 3 joins all at once. If you're thinking about joining 3 tables though, and you're asking which one is your left table, which one is your right table, always it will be that the table that comes first before your join command, your keyword, will be the left table, and the table that's involved in your join keyword, like join migrations, let's say, that will be your right table. And so you can imagine 3 tables where for like the first 2, the first one's on the left, the first one's on the right. For the next 2 though, the middle one's on the left and the next one's on the right, if that helps you visualize that kind of much on the board here. Good question. Let's take one more.
When we perform the join function, do we get under the hood, do we have like a separate table that's created which we can reference later down in the code? Or like do we need to write that entire join command again?
Yeah, good question. And so I believe you're asking, do we get back a separate table that we could use? For this, I might want to double check myself, but just to kind of show you what we've been doing so far, I'll go back to my SQLite terminal here, and I will ask, like, select star from, let's say, clions, and let's do a full join with migrations on migrations.id is equal to clions.id. I think what you were asking is, do we get back like a separate kind of table here? We could consider it as a kind of separate table. Like if I hit enter here, this is kind of what we're going to call a temporary table, which you could also call a result. We can use this table for the duration of our query. What we haven't done, though, is made this table accessible in our database itself. Like, it's only there for the duration of this query. So hopefully that helps answer it with a bit of fact checking if you. Okay, let's show one final type of join here. This one called a natural join. A natural join kind of allows me to omit the part of my previous join.
I don't get how I cannot do the full join. I don't know how.
Joins where I was saying migrations.id equals clions.id. Like natural join says, both of these columns called ID, I could just assume that I want you to join by these 2 columns. So let's try a natural join and see what we get back. I'll come back over here.
What?
And we'll try a natural join with our clions table and our migrations table. I'll say select, let's say star from clions. Then I'll natural join migrations here, and I no longer need to say migrations.id equals clions.id. I can just hit semicolon, and now I can hit enter.
I think it's better
so
to be
we'll
explicit.
See that the join worked just as we wanted it to. And we didn't even specify which ID column corresponded to which other ID column because these were named the same column name, ID. Notice too, we don't get a duplicate ID column. In some prior joins, we had an ID column here and an ID column here. Now we've just combined them to one single column, or really we've only kept one column along this join here. So many kinds of joins to use, many ways to query our tables. What we've seen so far is how to organize our data, build connections between them.
And what's the third one?
I will, my previous, okay, let's show one final type of join here. This one called a natural join. A natural join kind of allows me to omit the part of my previous joins where I was saying migrations.id equals clions.id. Like natural join says, both these columns called ID, I could just assume that I want you to join by these 2 columns. So let's try clions.id previous joins. I was saying migrations columns called ID. Let's try I could just like natural join says, both these columns called ID, I could just assume that I want you to join by these two. So let's try a natural join, see what we get back. I'll come back over here, and we'll try a natural join with our C-lines table and our migrations table. I'll say select, let's say star from C-lines, then I'll natural join migrations here, and I no longer need to say migrations.id equals clines.id. I can just hit semicolon, and now I can hit enter. So we'll see that the join worked just as we wanted it to. And we didn't even specify which ID column corresponded to which other ID column because these were named the same column name, ID. Notice too, we don't get a duplicate ID column. In some prior joins, we had an ID column here and an ID column here. Now we've just combined them into one single column, or really we've only kept one column among this join here. So many kinds of joins to use, many ways to query our tables. What we've seen so far is how to organize our data, build connections between them, and now how to query this data using both subqueries and joins. We'll take a quick break here and come back to see how we can use sets and groups to, again, kind of refine our queries and ask more interesting questions.
Yeah, I don't know sets. Well, I don't know groups. Like, I've seen them work, like someone else wrote the code, but I've never used them myself. I mean, I'm curious, I'm excited, but I'm hungry, and I wanna have to end the stream. Probably I stream like 1 hour, or maybe like 1 hour and 30. I have no idea. I'll check the VODs later. But yeah, I have to, lunch, take a bath, and work. Yeah. Thank you for watching, guys. That was a quick stream. Maybe will I stream tomorrow? I'm not sure. Tomorrow's a Saturday, but I'll be doing my chores. And I'll be meeting with a friend, hopefully. I'm not sure, because I've contacted him, asking him to meet, but like, he hasn't replied. So I'm not sure if we're gonna meet tomorrow. If not, then maybe I'll stream tomorrow. On Sunday, I'll be going somewhere. There's a place that I want to go to. There's an art museum that I want to check out, but it's like quite far. It's like 2 hours away, 2 to 3 hours away. But I have a motorcycle, so probably 2 hours away. Yeah, I'll be visiting that. Maybe once I get back home, like if I'm not tired, I'll stream. I don't know. No promises, okay? No promises. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Yeah, I have to go. Yeah. Plus, once I get the recording of the talk, I'm gonna upload it on YouTube. How do I say it? Look forward to that. My mind just went blank there. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna end the stream now. Bye bye.